Hello students, very good morning. Today we all are going to start Geography, chapter number 3, Our Changing Earth. As we living on a earth, three factors are very important like lithosphere, hydrosphere and atmosphere. Where these three factors are merged together, they made biosphere. The earth is believed to be about 4 to 5 billion years old, and when we talking about earth, it's divided into three main parts: crust, mantle and core. So, as you know, the earth always changes by the different kinds of forces. These forces are effect on earth's surface. These forces creating changes in our environment, and we can see that changes in our surrounding like sand dunes and mushroom rocks. Newly they are creating by wind, and how the sea arches and stacks are made by sea waves and by its falls water. How the rivers are creating or extending its deltas near the sea coast, and how the mountains increasing its peaks, and how mantle come out from the earth via volcanoes. All these types of changes we will learn about in this chapter, which is our changing earth. All these changes are happen due to these two types of forces. First one, endogenic force, we will call as a endogenous force. Second one, exogenic force, it means exogenous force. Now, first let we understand about endogenic force, which we also call endogenous force. It refers to the forces that occurs beneath the surface of the earth. Deep inside the earth's core, heat is generated. The heat is transferred upward to the mantle, causing it to slowly circulate. This movement of the lava applies force on the lithospheric plates above. These plates keep shifting and sliding at a very slow speed of a few millimeters in a year in different directions. The movement of these plates is called tectonic activity or plate tectonics. There are 20 lithospheric plates of different sizes. These are commonly known as tectonic plates. Endogenic forces causes earthquake, tsunami, volcano and change in the earth's landscape. Here on the above map, you can see the diagram of tectonic plates available on the earth's surface. The earth crust is cracked, and the pieces of the earth's crust formed by the cracks are called tectonic plates. The plates are continually moving, albeit very slowly, a few millimeters a year, and this movement helps to form volcanoes. These tectonic plates movement sometimes creating earthquake. Now let me understand how it is happened. An earthquake is a sudden tremor or movement of the earth's crust which originates naturally at or below the surface. What causes earthquakes? Sudden movement of tectonic plates. Earth's surface is subjected to endogenic forces occurring from beneath the earth's surface. These forces make the plates move at a very slow speed. However, a sudden movement of tectonic plates triggers an earthquake. Seismometer or seismograph records earth movements. By this diagram, we are able to understand what is earthquake's movement. These earthquakes focus and epicenter. It means it is the point of origin of the earthquake. Sudden movement occur deep below the crust or mantle, causing tectonic plates to move vigorously. Concentric shock waves generated from this point determines the extent of damage caused. Since the focus point is often deep below the surface, it is very difficult to map. Now, let me see what is epicenter. It is the point on the Earth's surface which is directly above the focus. It is most commonly used to describe the point of concentration of an earthquake. The strength and magnitude of an earthquake is measured on the Richter scale. An earthquake whose measurement is above 7 on the Richter scale can cause major damages. Earthquakes are now measured using the moment magnitude scale or simply magnitude scale. This measures the size of the seismic waves during the earthquake. In this diagram, you are able to see how the movement of tectonic plates movement inside the deep of sea or oceans, creating the big sea waves called tsunami. It means when the epicenter of earthquake is in seabed, it causes huge tidal waves which could have devastating effect on sea shores. Such phenomena is known as tsunami. Now, let me understand about volcano. A volcano is an opening or rupture in a planet surface which allow hot, molten rock, ash and gases to escape from below the surface. Volcanoes are most commonly found along plate boundaries. Now, let me understand about mountain ranges and the trenches. Slow movement of lithospheric plates causes changes on the earth's surface. Collision of plates create mountain system of earth like the Himalayas and huge trenches on the ocean floor. Now, we will move to the exogenic force we will call as a exogenous force. It refers to the external phenomena that occur on or above the earth's surface. The main elements of exogenic forces are air and water. Now, let me see about waterfall. Waterfall are often formed where a layer of harder rock overlays a layer of softer rock. As the river passes over the softer rock, it is able to erode it at a faster rate, forming a step in the river bed. The third force of hydraulic action does two things. Further erosion makes the plunge pool and notch bigger over time. As the notch grows, eventually there is not enough support under the harder rock and so it collapses into the plunge pool. The process of erosion continues, further eroding out the notch and plunge pool. Eventually, the harder rock above will collapse again, meaning that the waterfall will retreat upstream over time. Now, let me see how rivers cause change on the surface over which it flows. Meanders. It is a snaky pattern of water stream formed by alternatively eroding sediments from the outside of a band and depositing them on the inside. Now we will see what is Oxbow Lake. An oxbow lake is a U-shaped body of water that forms when a wide meander from the main stem of a river is cut off, creating a freestanding body of water. This landform is so named for its distinctive curved shape resembling the bow pin of an ox bow. Now let we see what is flood plains and how they create danger for agriculture. A floodplain is a generally flat area of land next to a river or stream. It stretches from the banks of the river to the outer edges of the valley. Floodplains are natural flooding outlets for rivers. Agriculture remains a critical industry for floodplains today. The silty sediments is rich in nutrients that support plant growth. This farmer is harvesting on the fertile flood plain of the Oma river in Ethiopia. Now let we see what is levees. In times of flood, a river may overflow its banks and spread over the flood plain. As it does so, it loses energy and deposits its material across the flood plain. As it takes more energy to carry large particles, these are deposited first and therefore build up along the banks of the river to form a natural embankment which are called levees. The levees will become higher every time the river floods. Now let we see what is delta. Deltas are formed at the mouth of a river where the river flows into the ocean or other water body. When a river carrying sediments reaches a body of standing water, it reduces its velocity, causing it to deposit the sediment at the mouth. Over time, these sediments build up to rise above the surface of water. The river then cuts across the land and forms different branches. These branches are called distributaries. Also, sea waves create various changes in landforms like sea caves, sea arches, stacks, sea beaches. Now, sea caves, continuous wave action of the sea erodes the rocky forces on the sea shore to form caves. Then, sea arches. Over a period of time, a sea cave convert into sea arch with increased erosion in the rock. Stack are formed when part of main landform is eroded by water action like water crashing against the rock. Now sea beaches. Sea waves leave behind sediments in the form of fine sands. At these places are called beaches. Sea waves also create various changes in the landforms. Now let we read about glacier. Glaciers are accumulation of snow that are formed in areas where the amount of snow that falls exceeds the amount that melts. Glaciers form distinct landforms that looks like frozen river moving slowly over some land surface or down a valley. Now let we read about glacial moraines. Moraine is sediment deposited by a glacier. It means middle Moraine, a mass of rock carried down by a glacier at its edges. Now, let we read about air. We will call air as a wind. Wind flowing over a long period create different forms. First one, mushroom rocks, usually found in desert areas. The wind blowing at high speed takes with it sand particles. The particles being heavier remain close to the surface, and as wind passes along the rock, the sand particles eroded the portion of rock closer to the surface without affecting the upper portion. This gives the rocks a mushroom-like shape. Wind can create landforms when it deposits its sediments, especially in deserts and along coasts like sand dunes and loises are landscapes features deposited by wind. Now, sand dunes. A dune is a mound of sand formed by the wind, usually along the beach or in a desert. Dunes form when wind blows sand into a sheltered areas behind an obstacle. Dunes grow as grains of sand accumulated. Every dune has a windward side and a slip face. Now, the last point is loess. It is a sedimentary deposit of mineral particles which are finer than sand but coarser than dust or clay deposited by the wind. Loess is a type of silt which forms fertile topsoil in some parts of the world. Loess deposits are usually a few meters thick. The soil has few clay particles to hold it together. Now, the students, this is all about this chapter. I hope you understand each and everything. If you have any doubts or query, please ask me in a live session. Till then, bye bye. Take care.